thank you for taking the time to listen to this webinar. In life and in business, there are many concepts that we speak about, and often these concepts diverge in different directions. Usually it is two, sometimes three, and we're not sure exactly how to act towards it. There is a price to pay for everything that we do, for every mistake, for every occurrence which comes out to be a negative experience. There's a price to pay. However, if we know and we can be promised that the results will be positive, we don't mind paying the price. If I know, for instance, that something will come out of a possible challenge or an opportunity, and I know that the outcome will be positive, I'm willing to take the chance. I'm willing to actually, in this case, pay the price. See, our life is affected usually by two major things. One is price, and the other one is the promise. Now, if you see this, it's not as easy to pay the price. However, it's not that easy to pay the price if you can't see the promise, but it's easier to pay the price if you do believe, or if you can think that the promise can be delivered. Now, kids are having many problems these days. They're trying to pay the price because they can't see the promise. But nobody would mind paying that price. Nobody, the kids included, if they could have a clear view of tomorrow, of next week, next month, or even next year. And if you have the assurance that everything was going to work out, you wouldn't hesitate to pay it all. As a matter of fact, not only no one would hesitate, it would be clear, and you would just do it. Why? Because by seeing the promise, it's helpful now to pay the price. What would you do for an extraordinary promise? The most unbelievable things is probably your answer. Now, would you spend time reading more books? Would you burn the midnight oil to figure out how to do things? Would you spend more time and engage in extra thoughts or extra discipline if you knew that the promise that you were given for the results was going to be adequate or extraordinary for yourself? Of course you would do all of these things. But who wants to read? Who wants to burn the midnight oil? Who wants to spend time and put themselves through all kinds of promises that are often not clear? Nobody wants to do that. So what do? How does it take you from one person to another, knowing that you need to make these changes, you need to make these accommodations, but at the same time we're not sure where to go? See, and this is what you have to do. There's a concept called time action. Engaging in a genuine discipline requires that you develop the ability to take action. That action means that you will do what you're supposed to do. You don't need to be hasty if it isn't required, but you don't want to waste too much time or lose too much of an opportunity. Here's the time to act. And that time is when the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. If something comes your way and you know it, that's the time to act. Let's say you'd like to build up your library, bring in more books, build up a strong opportunity to meet more friends. Whatever it is that you want to do, take action as soon as possible. And before that feeling that you have comes along the way and says, how am I going to do this? How will I succeed? How will I surpass that? You need to take action. Otherwise you'll fall prey to a concept called the law of diminishing intent. The law of diminishing intent means that within a short period of time you're not going to want or you're not going to wish to take the action anymore. Fear will set in. All kinds of things will come in. And this will translate the intention into that action in a poor manner. On the other hand, an urgency starts, and if you act immediately, from a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, you'll find yourself tremendously motivated to do even more. So you have to take the action. You have to set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong. That's really what it means. The idea could be clear, it could be powerful, but if somebody talks, for instance, about good health and you're motivated by it, what do? How do you need to get motivated for that? Well, you should get a book of nutrition, or you're going to go and start exercising, or you're going to watch what you eat. The key is to begin the process. And what do you do at that moment? You could fall on the floor and start doing push-ups. You've got to take action for anything that you see, anything that you know. The key is time to act. It's that action that matters at the end of the day. The discipline enables you to capture the emotion and the wisdom and translate them into action. The key is to increase your motivation at all times, and you quickly set up a discipline upon another discipline. And by doing so, you've actually started a whole new life process. And here's the greatest value of discipline. It's one concept. It's called self-worth. It's also known as self-esteem. See, many people who are teaching self-esteem these days, they don't connect it to discipline. It's really interesting. They don't. They see it as something different. They think a lack of discipline within ourselves is something that is inherent. And they forget that the psyche plays a major portion of that. See, one of the greatest temptations is to just ease up a little bit. We say, let's just take it easy for a while. And instead of doing your best work, allowing yourself to do just a little less than you can, a little less than you should, sure enough, within a short period of time, you're sliding down. And the self-esteem gets hurt. Self-worth becomes different. And there's a problem with even a little bit of neglect. Neglect starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. And one neglect leads to another neglect. That's just the way it goes. It goes from one to the other to the other. And worst of all, when neglect starts, it diminishes again our self-worth. That's just the way it is. So once this happened, however, what you can do at any given time is recap and think, where am I going? What am I doing? Should I take action? The moment you realize that you need to take action, that's the time that things start changing. And all you have to do to start with the smallest discipline and corresponds to your smallest philosophy and say, where am I going today? Every single morning you need to ask your question to yourself. Who am I? Where am I going? Where am I coming from? What do I want to do? Those few key questions will always guide you and let you know that you need to make changes. You have to make a commitment. I'll discipline myself to achieve my goals, and so then years ahead I can celebrate my success. This is so vital to your life and to your type of development. When you want to start the process to change, this is one thing that I learned, which is probably the best gift which I was given from my own father, bless his heart. It was hard for me to give up blame. I used to blame everybody or everything. I was so comfortable in my own situation. I blamed anything that I could, but I never blamed my shortcomings. I blamed the government, my negative relatives, the company that I worked for or people associated with. I blamed the economy, the interest rates, prices, and every imaginable circumstances. Whenever I could blame someone else or anything else, I always did that. And it was quite a transition for me to change from blaming everyone and everything to taking the responsibility for my own life. It was quite a change. Something which I did not understand. And my father taught me, bless his heart, I tell you, he told me, he said, it's not what happens in the world that determines the major part of your future, son. That's not what happens. It's what happens to us all. To everybody. The key is what you do about it. The key is the type of person you're going to become. And he encouraged me to start the process of change. He encouraged me that to do anything different in the following 90 days. He told me, you can't change overnight. Just take the first 90 days from today, 3 months from now, and make those changes. And I'm asking you to do the same right now. I'm asking you to pick up a book, start a new health discipline, start a new directive, start a new management, start a new attitude, something new. Slowly but surely you'll see how it'll make a big difference. Improving your relationship with your family, improving your relationship with your peers, improving your relationship in your work, with your patients, with your staff. See, there's another secret that my father taught me, and that is so vital to, I believe, many of the changes which I made in my life. And he said like this, son, all you have at the moment is whatever it is that you do. You've attracted a certain type of personality, and that's who you are. And so therefore, all you have, you've attracted by the person you are. Once I began to understand this principle, this concept, things started changing in my life. I started looking at different patterns. And at that moment, what he was referring to is the fact that I was not going anywhere. I had already finished college. Although I had goals in my mind and things that I wanted to do, I was not moving forward. I wasn't taking action. I was continuously trying to figure out a way to blame all these other entities and parties and people because I wasn't getting where I needed to be. I wasn't successful as what I needed to do. I had done many things prior to that and I had been successful. But there I was in my early 20s and I was just not moving. And this is what he answered. He said, here's what happened. Misfortune has taken place because of the type of person you are. So what are you talking about? Why is that? What type of person I mean? What does that mean? Because he said to me, well, you can change all of that. You don't have to change what's outside the world. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. Think about that for a second. To have more in life, you have to become more. And then this is another thing he told me. He said, don't wish it was easier. Wish that you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Start making the personal changes and it will change for you. You know something? He was so right. It was so truthful that I started preparing myself for the mental attitude that I was going to become. Picture for a moment a wild beast, right? I don't know if these little bitty beasts that we find that are in Africa. I watched this show one time. It was really incredible. Do you know how much time it has from the time it's born until it learns how to run with the pack and everything else, and so that it knows what to do so that it doesn't get eaten by the lions and other predator around it? It's really amazing. It just has a few minutes. And as soon as the little beast is born, it tries to stand up. And it tries to move forward. It tries to make a movement. And it falls down. And its mother comes in and it nudges it and moves and tells it, get up. You can't stand down. If you do, you will get eaten. You will get killed. Get up. And finally, on shaky legs, all kinds of wobbly around little beast, it tries to nurse. And the mother pushes it away and says, this isn't the time to do that. You've got to move. You've got to make it happen. What's the problem? Where is the message coming from? This is its own mother. You know what the mother says? If you don't want to be eaten, you need to take action. You need to make a change. You've got to get strong legs. And we don't have much time, so get moving. Let me ask you this question. How long do you think does it take for a human baby to learn that? A parent of grown children will tell you, as I am, I've been fortunate, thank God, to have my own children and grandchildren, that it's almost an unknown concept. How long does it take for a human baby to learn about life? I'm still not sure. It's unbelievable the amount of time that it takes for personal development for that baby to acquire that. For spiritual development, for physical development, all these take so much time. And it's hardly ever the possibility for any one parent to say, it's going to take exactly a year or a month or 6 months. We don't know. But there's something else that takes also time. And that's the mental development. Feeding the mind positive attitude. You could feed your mind and feed your fears, or starve your fears and feed your inspiration. At any given time, a person can do that. Now, some people do this frequently. They're able to manage in life and take things apart and separate what's positive, negative, and just focus on the positive. Others, they cannot focus on the positive. They continuously have to go to the negative. And so because of that, arguments are that their personal beliefs are always challenged. It's hard. It's really hard. And here's one of the challenges that we face as parents. Getting our kids ready to debate in today's major life issue. It's not so simple. You and I know as adults today, the world is complicated with the advance of technology and the development and things that have happened. It's not so simple to make a decision. We ourselves often have questions. How can we teach them? How can we give them? But they've got to develop their own well-informed opinions in order to do that. And you can help them doing that. You know how you could do this? By yourself first committing to doing it yourself. If you do things properly, they'll emulate you. There is no greater way to teach a child. If a father comes in at night, takes his jacket and throws it on the couch, what do you think the kid is going to do when he comes home? Throws it on the couch. If a father comes in and when he's trying to set up the table, instead of helping setting up the table, screams at his spouse or makes negative comment, what do you think the child's going to do? Same thing. If a father comes in the evening and while he's trying to rest or wanting his own time of peace, he tells everybody, get out, let me have my beer, I want to take my time, I'm tired, what do you think the kids are going to do? Now translate that into your office attitude. If you as the doctor or the staff comes in with that negative attitude, what do you think everybody else around you is going to do? The same thing. Here's the next challenge that you have to think about. You've got to be able to defend those opinions and the ways that you are to everybody. You have to be able to do it at all the time. You can't defend your virtues. Because if you don't have virtues, there's nothing to defend. But you can fall prey to all kinds of negative interests that are there in the good or in the negative. You got to help your kids. You got to help your staff. You got to help everyone around you. But before you can do that, you have to help yourself. The need to be well informed about the major issues in life is to be sure that you understand what the issues are. And you have to analyze that. You have to take the time. Political issues, social issues, religious issues, all these things, spiritual and economic, will have an effect on your life. And you have to make that determination as to what's appropriate and what's not. You've got to get yourself, your kids, your family, your peers, your people all around you, and everybody that you know, to get the greatest challenges of today and make the philosophy for it to find out where you need to be. How do you do that? Learn about your philosophy. Learn about what you need to do. So a couple things we've learned today. Number one, you've got to learn to adjust to the way the world is today. Number two, take action. When things come in, don't let it slide. Take action at the time that the thing comes, that opportunity comes, and make a move for it. Number three, do it with the interest and the knowledge that this will affect everything else. And therefore, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that it's expendable and it's taught to everyone else. Once you do that, you'll want to make sure that it's done on a regular basis. If you do that, you'll be willing to invest whatever time, whatever energy, whatever effort, whatever vital, critical opportunity you'll have into the promise. Because you'll be able to see that promise. And that's what I mean when there is a price and a promise. You'll pay the price and you'll do what you have to do if you can see the promise. And it's one of the things that you need to teach your staff as well. If your staff is able to see that they will get a reward, that they'll be treated properly, that they'll get bonuses, that they'll be entertained in such a way where the job will become meaningful to them, that's the promise. They'll pay the price of being there late, of coming early, of putting 110% everything that they do. Same thing with your patient. If you show them this is the promise, that they're going to be healthy, that they will no longer have the pains that they have, that they will no longer have the nagging type of prickling in their legs, in their back, in their minds, in their heart, in their heads, whatever the case may be, whatever the condition is. If they can see that, they'll pay the price. They'll pay what your copay is. They'll pay what the insurance pays or doesn't pay. They don't mind. People have no problem paying for their care. People have no problem paying for anything that's good. You know, it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I had a toothache. Quite a serious one. And it was painful. I went to see the dentist and he says to me, you know, the only way we can save it's a way back tooth. It's a wisdom tooth. That thing has been there for years. And at your age, for whatever reason, it's never bothered you. But I'll tell you what we got to do. We got to take it out. And I thought, okay, how long is that going to take? He says about half an hour. And I hope it won't break in the midst of it. But it's in the back, and hopefully we'll do it, you know, quickly. So he went ahead and numbed me and took out the tooth, and I was out of there within 45 minutes or so. And I went home, and of course, I had to gargle and all these things because the tooth now and the area had to heal up. Within about a week or two, I received a bill from the dentist, and I think it was something like $255 or $270, something like this. It's close to $300. Would you believe that when I saw that bill, I didn't have one thought in my mind of the potentiality of not paying? Not at all. I was totally pleased with it and totally satisfied. The pain was gone. I no longer had to watch out that when I drank something cold that it really hurt. I could sleep peacefully. I had the best couple of weeks that had just gone by, and I can't believe all these years I never thought about taking out this wisdom tooth. Was it worth it? You bet. You bet yourself. Absolutely, 100%. And I paid for it. Why? Because the promise that I was given that it would be better was worth it, so the price was worth it. And that's what life is all about. If you invest time and energy into a project, it's worth it at the end of the day. It's worth it to hire a coach, a consultant. It's worth it to pay the price of a marketing company. It's worth it to invest in a piece of equipment. It's worth it to invest in knowledgeable people, experts and adept professionals to come and help you in what you do. It's worth it to invest this in advance. I once heard from an attorney when he said to me, I'll tell you what you need to do when it comes to healthcare. The best way to spend the money is at the beginning of the setup of your corporate structure, not at the end. And too many people do that. They say, well, if something happens, I'll spend the money later. The answer is no. If you really have an issue today, that's the time to invest in the money. Invest it before the problem comes along. More money, but it costs an extra $3,000, $4,000, $7,000. It doesn't matter. Invest the money in advance. Put your effort so that you know now that things are done properly, you'll be able to use this appropriately for years to come. Then you won't have to regret it. I've made those mistakes. Believe me, I made plenty of those mistakes. As a consultant, however, I learned over the years that it doesn't pay to cut corners. It doesn't pay to make, at any given time, something shorter than it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to. You have to put all your efforts. And you have to hire the people that are qualified to get you what you need to do. So take action. And take it when it comes, when it's hot, when you feel it. Take the opportunity. Make it consistent. And for things to change, you have to make the decision to change. And when that happens, then everything is okay. God bless you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope and pray that you succeed in everything that you do. You deserve the best. We all do, when you think about it, deserve a break. And the break is right there. It's there for you, and many things that you're doing are there to help you become successful. May you become successful in everything that you do, both in and